and welcome to Geek Speak with Envision IT, a podcast for business leaders and technology experts that like to stay on top of the latest security news and listen to interviews with insightful industry leaders. I'm Bill Crahen, Chief Stakeholder Architect and CTO at Envision IT. Let's get started. Today we have Beau Smithback. He's the Chief Stakeholder Strategist here at Envision IT. And today, Beau, I think we were going to talk about security best practices for remote work, which is very timely.
Yeah, hey, Bill. It is. It turns out we've been pretty busy here helping people either get remote work for the first time or expand the remote work footprint. And I think, one of the things that is maybe a pitfall for remote work is there's all of these things that used to be in a very, very controlled environment that becomes, maybe not so controlled. So we have a lot of instances where people are using their home workstations to maybe connect to Citrix or connect to a VPN in some cases, which is a little bit terrifying. So
I get shivers. Say that.
I know, right? Because a lot of them, they might not have antivirus. It's certainly not controlled by IT. And I think, the best practice that we've typically used and how we're working remotely and have been for over a month now is with our Citrix virtual desktops. So we found that Citrix is just a really great way to give an experience that's very similar, or in some cases even better than when you're sitting in the office. So you get that native experience. I've got my little home office set up. I've got 3 monitors, and right now on my Citrix desktop, and that works really well. But I think there's some security concerns that you have to pay attention to when you're building all this out. One of the things that we have seen with Citrix historically that we've helped to correct is a lot of IT companies see Citrix as just another server. It's sitting on hardware in their data center. So they put it on their server VLAN, and maybe some of the segmentation that they did between a typical desktop VLAN and their server VLAN wasn't done. So now we've got sort of your users sitting right within your data center without maybe some of the controls that they used to have.
Yeah, on a high-powered server.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's really important to treat Citrix as a desktop, segment it off, be very, very limited in what ports are open, and make sure that it really is a separate network to keep that away from the rest of the servers, even though it is running that same OS.
Right.
And along those same lines, you sort of treat it like a desktop. So you have all of the security policies, whether you're doing the NIST framework for controls, or you're doing the, which is now the cybersecurity framework, or you're doing the CIS framework, whatever controls you have in place for those workstations should be applied to those Citrix servers, as well as all of the tools that you have on those workstations. So you want to have a next-gen antivirus. You want to have an EDR. You have a SIM that's collecting all those logs and doing event correlation. You want to put all of those in place too, so that you have that same secure footprint that you had on your typical desktop infrastructure.
Right.
Citrix also helps with the local workstations. So you don't have maybe as many controls as you want to have if someone's using their home laptop or home workstation to connect them remotely. Citrix acts as that logical barrier where you can prevent information from being, copied back to the local hard drive, and maybe you've got data that isn't encrypted anymore, or it's on a sensitive data that's on a machine that probably shouldn't have sensitive data. It can prevent clipboard even from going back and forth. So it really makes sure that all of that data stays in the data center. And although you still have to be concerned about what that endpoint is, it's maybe not as direct a risk.
Got it. Anything around authentication and security there?
Definitely. So two-factor authentication, and I think we've said this before, is absolutely table stakes in today's world. Anything that is accessible remotely needs to be protected by two-factor authentication. Lately, we've been a big fan of even authenticating directly off of Microsoft, Azure AD. So Microsoft has built some really, really nice security features into Azure AD in their authentication. And with a P1 license, you can actually authenticate your Citrix desktop right off of Azure AD. So you've got the two-factor integrated the same way that you would have with Office 365. It's got, it processes billions of logins per month. And it's got so much analytic data that it can actually look at bad actors and just prevent those from connecting even before, it gets to a place where they can connect. It'll just say, we can't connect to the server. So we've been really, really pleased with that. We've had a lot of customers lately that have leveraged that, and it also provides a good user experience because typically they already have two-factor set up with their Office 365 apps.
Yeah, and I would say on the user experience, even for me, some of us run 2, 3, 4, 5 different authenticator apps on our phone. But the user experience with the Microsoft one seems to be very positive. So it works well.
Yeah, they've done a really nice job with it. So yeah, I think, just there's a lot of good things that come with remote work. But, one of the compromises, especially in today's day and age where we've seen the threats ramp up a lot since everyone is working from home and all of these new remote access capabilities exist within these companies. Envision is personally, or like as a company, we've done maybe a half dozen brand new remote access solutions in the last month where companies didn't have it before.
Right.
And that's just us. If you extrapolate that out, there's a lot of new places, there's a lot of new targets. So it's really important now as the threat actors are stepping up their game to just take this seriously and do it right the first time.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in our previous episodes that it's tough to be 100% secure, but if you can up your game, that ups the effort by the attackers, and they don't like necessarily hard targets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's plenty of easy targets out there, and the more difficult you can make yourself as a target, I think just the less likely it happens. It's never 100%. I mean, these threat actors have gotten into government agencies that have more or less unlimited budgets to make sure that doesn't happen, and the average company doesn't have that.
Right.
But if it can be difficult and a big effort without a big payoff, that generally is enough to lessen the risk, although it'll never disappear.
Right. Exactly. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Beau. It's been very insightful.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any questions or you have future topics you'd like us to cover, please connect with us via the link in the show notes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Geek Speak with Envision IT.